And as you grew from Tasmanian organization to national or semi-national, how much of that was organic and how much of that was inorganic in the growth strategy?
That's a really good question. Most of it's been inorganic, I think, or I guess structural or strategic growth through partnership or divestment of services from government. But we have grown organically, of course, because when people come to us and they're asking for service, if we think we can do a good job and we can help them with the things that they want to receive, then we'll do that as well. And that's, to be fair, it has represented quite a bit of our growth, particularly here in Victoria and in other areas. But really the big ticks, if you like, in terms of how we've had to adjust structurally have come through partnership and through transfer of services. So we've done a couple of transfers from government, some from the Transport Accident Commission here in Victoria, and then through partnership with other organisations that have joined the group as we've gone along.
And that gave you access to other states, one. And then how was the experience in other larger states apart from Victoria?
So we moved into Queensland was the next place that we moved into, and that was really in response to some specific requests we'd had to set up services for a group of people who were in very old models of support and needed to move into something more contemporary with the NDIS. And that was going quite well for us, and then COVID happened. And then we spent a lot of time just making sure we could keep everyone safe and keep a workforce together and do what we needed to do. But it was clear to us that the price setting and the price signalling that the agency is giving the sector is not one, I think, that says that you want 18,000 registered providers and 140,000 unregistered providers. I think there's going to be some consolidation and some need for stability in the system, and so we wanted to make sure that we could participate in that. And whether that's us joining with others and trying to do that, we don't really have a fixed view, but we want to make sure that the really important things that we think about in terms of human rights, in terms of non-aversive restrictive practices, in terms of improving the employment outcomes for people with disability, that's what we focus on. So however we can try and do that. So moving into New South Wales was obviously an important step, being a very big part of the national system. And so we were able to do that last year with the merger with Lifestyle Solutions. And now we're just setting about making sure that we can get our hands around all those services and really focus on what makes good support happen so that people are able to succeed in what they want to.
And to deliver all of that in different states, what's the org strategy from a governance point of view and the structures, and what's the brand strategy? Is possibilities one brand and there are multiple brands? What's the brand and org strategy at that level and governance?
Yeah, so from a governance point of view, we have, I suppose, a fairly typical sort of corporate structure, which is that we have a parent company and operating subsidiaries underneath. And we've kind of taken, I suppose, for want of a better description, like a house of brands approach, because one of the things that I've noticed is that for a lot of the community organisations that I meet with, their stories of origin are amazing. They're like families that have come together when there's been no service to develop these organisations to provide services for kids to have the opportunity of employment or services outside of school once their schooling finishes. So I think there's a respect that you've got to afford that history and legacy as well. So
and be custodians of that history.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important. And, so Oak Tasmania was one of the early companies that joined the group. They used to do these walkathons where the families would go out and they would do these, huge walks and raise funds through those walks. And use them to build employment opportunities for their children who were coming through the school system, who at that stage didn't have anywhere else to go. And you just don't want to lose that history as well. It's really important. And whilst, we would think in contemporary practice terms that, some of what I suppose you could loosely say were kind of like the old sheltered workshops aren't the best. But at the time, that was what there was. And through all this community effort, and I think it's really important to try and maintain that respect of the value that those communities have created for people that we support.
Lovely.